Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the MLB slate for Friday. We have a 14-game slate today. I hope you guys all had a good All-Star break and are ready to get started for the second half of baseball season. The preseason starts in under 3 weeks, so football is right around the corner. So we'll have a lot more sports to talk about in a couple weeks. But right now, mainly just baseball, and then the NBA Finals finishing up a couple of, well, at least 2 more games left in that series. So let's get started. As always, I appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. We have 14 games, although a couple could be canceled due to some weather issues. Probably in Detroit, Cincinnati looking a bit iffy right now, especially Detroit has like a 72% chance of rain, Cincinnati 50% chance of rain. Couple other ones with some chance of rain, although I think those should be fine, like Toronto, which would be important because right now the Blue Jays look like the best stack on the slate, or at least one of them. They're right up there with the Dodgers. So looking at these teams, best teams to stack today, I think, are definitely the Blue Jays going up against Jordan Lyles, who gives up a lot of home runs, doesn't strike out a ton. This lineup just has one of the most powerful lineups in all of baseball. The Dodgers facing off against Sensatella in Coors. We saw them be red hot heading into their offense was hot heading into the break. We saw them put up like 22 runs against the Diamondbacks one of those days. Come from behind win against the Diamondbacks as well in one of the other games. But they're facing off against Sensatella, who, looking at his stuff, not a strikeout pitcher. It's in Coors, which we all know is one of the best ballparks for hitting. And Sensatella's as about a 4.58 ERA, which is decent. The strikeouts are just not really there. The home runs are somewhat high at 9. He's actually been pretty good at home, but he has not been good against the Dodgers, giving up a 16.50 ERA. The Dodgers have hit him around, and they've seen him more than a couple times, so that is not going to be very good for Sensatella. I think the Dodgers are going to be able to pile up some runs. They are expensive, but if you wanted to go with a solid stack option that has a chance to break the slate, definitely the Dodgers are in the mix. I do like the Angels just because you have some cheap guys in the lineup, like the 6 to 9 guys are all in the 2K range against Chris Flexen, who definitely has slowed down. He was decent in the start of the season, but coming over from the KBO, he's just a pitcher that pitches to some contact, only 63 strikeouts in 92 innings, so he's somewhat decent at limiting damage, but if you're just not getting as many strikeouts like he does, it's a matter of time before he gets blown up, and has not been good on the road. Angels, somewhat decent offense. They're still missing Trout. They're still missing Rendon, but at least they still have Shohei. They have Jared Walsh. A couple of powerful hitters, and you have a bunch of cheap guys like Fletcher, Adam Eaton, Taylor Ward to finish out a stack. And then just some one-offs, like on the Cubs look somewhat appealing against Madison Bumgarner. You have Bryant. You have Contreras, Baez as the 3 top guys to target against the lefty. And that is it. So for me, it's the Angels. It's the Dodgers. The Royals also look appealing against a lefty. Like, you could take a shot on Soler. Definitely can go with like Santana, Merrifield. They should be able to put up some runs. And then definitely the Blue Jays. Like, love the outfield to target. Grichuk, Teoscar, all have so much pop. Pitching wise today, we have Kevin Gausman as your number 1 pitcher. Especially if the Brewers game does get postponed, that will take Brandon Woodruff out of the mix. But Gausman has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this season. The strikeouts have been amazing. 133 Ks, 114 innings. He goes very deep into games. We've seen him routinely go over 100 pitches, or at least over like 95, 97. Against the Cardinals, a very righty-heavy team. Expect Gausman to just be able to carve them up here. So I love Gausman as my number 1 pitcher. And then for my SP2, number of options. You can go cheap here with like a Andrew Heaney. If you wanted to play Hendricks, you could do that. If you wanted to play Stroman, he's $7,900. You have Julio Urias. It's in Coors against the Rockies, but so his price tag has come down, but because of Coors, he's down to $7,800. I don't know if people will play him just because it's in Coors, but I think he looks fine at that price tag. And then you also have Andrew Heaney at 74. If you want it to be a little bit different. He has a high ERA, but the strikeouts are there, and so he gives you upside just because he can get a bunch of strikeouts. 94 strikeouts in 77 innings. I would take a shot on Heaney before I play a guy like Chris Flexen, who just doesn't have very many strikeout upside, and Heaney, against the Mariners, we know they strike out a bunch, so I think he could have a very solid game here. So, Heaney looks good as my SP2. I don't think I want to go any cheaper than that, although maybe you could look to Chris Paddock at 63. He's kind of been up and down all season. Sometimes he's good, but sometimes he can absolutely kill you. So he's at a decent price tag to where it could be worth it. But Heaney also makes some sense at $7,400. Looking at some bats today, the first guy I like is min price Cole Calhoun in the outfield. He's $2,000. He's missed a lot of time this year. Finally got healthy just as the All-Star break was coming up. Only played 2 games heading into the break, but before that, we know he does have power, especially against righties. They're facing off against Kyle Hendricks, who gives up some pop, doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, and Cole Calhoun is one of their better hitters in the outfield. So getting him at 2,000. His price tag is definitely going to go up to at least like 35, 30, like maybe closer to 4K soon. So you're getting a good discount. Allows you to pay up for like Kevin Gausman, allows you to pay up for some other stacks. Another guy that I like at third base is Chris Bryant. He's facing off against a lefty. You can play him in the outfield as well. But anytime the Cubs face off against a lefty, especially a bad one like Bumgarner, I'm looking at Bryant. Looking at Javier Baez, they have a bunch of pop against lefties, and Bryant looks to be on the trade block, so if he wants to get out of Chicago, he's going to want to play well the next couple of weeks. First base, Jared Walsh. I like to get to him just because they're facing off against Flexen at home. Walsh gives you a ton of powers. He already has 22 home runs on the season. At home, he's been amazing. 293 average, 13 bombs. He's been very good against the Mariners as well. In 10 games, he has 3 bombs and hitting 333 against them. Just until Trout gets back, until Rendon comes back, it's him and Ohtani are going to have to carry the offense in terms of home runs and giving up and getting a bunch of RBIs and all those stuff. So Walsh 51, I think I can get to him pretty easily here. And then last but not least, if you wanted to pay up for a guy in the outfield, definitely like Mookie Betts. I definitely like Shohei Ohtani. I think Betts is in a little bit of a better spot just because they have almost a 2-run higher total, so I would probably side with Betts here, especially with how good he was heading into the break. He was red hot, multiple hit games, and against the Diamondbacks twice. He had a 2-hit game against Marlins. He gives you stolen base upside, although has 7 on the season, but a guy that doesn't strike out too much. Bats leadoff, could be looking at 5 at bats here if the stack does go off. So on DraftKings, this is about it. I want to try to get to a couple of teams. So probably don't think I'll full stack a team completely, but at least get to like a couple of Dodgers, maybe a couple of Angels, and then go with some one-offs on the Cubs, some cheap teams that look appealing, or some cheap hitters. So that's about it for the DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, get the plays already. Still leads with 3,000, which is plenty of salary left, but Kevin Gausman is still going to be my favorite pitcher, especially when Hendricks is the second most expensive pitcher, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't want to play Kyle Hendricks when I can get up to Gausman for only $800 more. If you wanted to save some money, you can go to like Heaney, maybe take a shot on URS, or they always have Chris Paddock super cheap. It works out like 40-50% of the time if you think that could be today. But second base, I like Whit Merrifield. He's expensive, but against lefty, he's always been appealing. Hits for high average against lefties. Has power, has stolen base upside, especially with the Royals having one of the higher totals that they've had all season. I want to get to maybe at least 1 or 2 of them. Chris Bryant, $3,500 at third base. He's appealing. Looking at that range, I like him quite a bit, especially with DJ LeMahieu, McMahon being in similar price tags. You can go cheaper if you wanted to for like a Matt Chapman, but I really like Bryant against a lefty. Still like Cole Calhoun on FanDuel. He's a little bit more expensive at $2,400, but in that range, he still is one of my favorites to target just because he gives you home run upside. And I don't know if that many people will play him because people don't like playing the Diamondbacks very often, but at that price tag, on both sides, I'd like to get to him if I could. And then Grichuk, just because he gives you a ton of power upside against a righty. He hits well against righties and lefties. No real concern with him. The home runs are there against both sides of the plate. And I want to get to a couple of Blue Jays just because they're facing off against Jordan Lyles, who gives up a lot of power. We can look at how many home runs he's given up so far this season, but it's not been very pretty. He's given up 17 already in 96 innings, and he doesn't strike out a ton. Gives up a bunch of walks as well. I don't know if, especially in this ballpark, with how good this Blue Jays offense is, I don't know if he will be. He threw 124 pitches against the Mariners. Wow, they really let him go in that start, but really like the Blue Jays stack today. So I want to get to at least Randall Grichuk in the outfield spot. So that is about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck, and I will see you all next time.